Destroyer USS Laffey closes in alongside battleship PA and rakes her decks with rapid-fire 5-inch shells and machine guns. From the island, U.S. Marines watch the epic battle unfold. It goes on for hours.
One of the surviving American naval officers described this particular action as a barroom brawl after the lights had been shot out, and that's exactly what it was.
Dawn reveals the scene of an apocalypse. The waters off Guadalcanal are coated in oil, debris, and human remains. Hundreds of sailors, including 2 American admirals, have been slaughtered in one of the grittiest naval gun battles of the war. Throughout the morning, a sea tug navigates the bloody waters, rescuing American sailors. Most Japanese survivors are killed. Among the casualties of November 13th is cruiser USS Juno. Lost when the ship sunk are all 5 Sullivan brothers of Waterloo, Iowa.
As a result of the loss of the 5 Sullivan brothers on the USS Juno, the Navy implemented a sole survivor policy, meaning that the sole surviving son of a family would be reassigned to non-hazardous duty. The thought being that if he continued to serve in hazardous duty, they didn't want a family that lost all of its sons in combat. So the result was sole survivors would be reassigned and would not be in harm's way.
The long morning of November 13th is one of the darkest periods in the history of the U.S. Navy. The grim tally. Cruisers Atlanta and Juno are gone. USS Laffey and 4 destroyers are wiped out. 4 additional Allied ships are damaged, and more than 1,400 Americans have perished. Once again, the U.S. Navy has had to pay a terrible price to hold Guadalcanal for another day. But hope is just over the horizon. November 13th, 7 a.m. After only 2 weeks, USS Enterprise is out of the repair docks and steaming into the fight. The Japanese are stunned by the sudden appearance of the Gray Ghost.
They thought they'd sunk the Enterprise and the Hornet. They knew they got the Hornet. They thought the Enterprise would be out of commission.
But this is a fight that the men of the Big E wouldn't dare miss. Come hell or high water, or both.
The USS Enterprise ship's crew said, "No, this ain't gonna happen. We're gonna fight you to our last man." You know, whenever you lose friends, buddies, and in war, it's gonna happen. But no matter how hard you try, it still becomes very personal.
Target: Japanese warships and troop transports. Objective: prevent Japan from delivering reinforcements to Guadalcanal. Strategy: attack, attack, attack. For the Americans, all that stands between the Empire and the Almighty is Enterprise, the remains of her task force, and a motley collection of battleships, cruisers, and destroyers. Steaming alongside Enterprise are the fast battleships Washington and South Dakota. With destroyers in a semicircle straight ahead, Admiral Halsey's plan is to position the Big E more than 200 miles southwest of Guadalcanal. While Bull Halsey runs the overall campaign from Noumea, Admiral Thomas Kinkaid is placed in command of Enterprise's task force.
Admiral Kinkaid does not want to risk losing Enterprise if he can possibly help it. He has maneuvered Enterprise into a position about 200 miles south-southwest of Guadalcanal, in a position where his aircraft can interdict shipping that's coming down the slot, and also can move those aircraft if need be to Henderson Field, and that's exactly what he would do.
There's just one problem. The Big E's forward elevator was knocked out of commission at Santa Cruz and couldn't be repaired with the limited facilities available at New Caledonia. And the forward elevator is key to the system of launching and landing planes during a battle. Enterprise has 3 of these hydraulic elevators: forward, midships, and aft. Each elevator is 48 feet by 44 feet and capable of lifting 17,000 pounds. planes are first brought up from the hangar using the rear elevators. Then they take off on their missions. When they return, they land over the rear of the carrier and are rolled forward. The forward elevator brings them below decks to be prepared for their next mission. With the forward elevator knocked out of action, the whole system falls apart. Bottom line, planes can take off from Enterprise, but there's no coming back. So Halsey's plan is to send some of Enterprise's squadrons to land at Henderson Field, which they will use as a temporary base during the battle. The handful of Enterprise planes will have to launch from her decks, bomb the enemy targets, then land on Guadalcanal to be serviced by Marine ground crews. November 13th, 1942, Day 1 in the naval battle of Guadalcanal. 8:22 a.m., the first planes head out on this risky mission. 9 Avengers and 6 Wildcats make ready to launch. They will head for Henderson Field and take out any Japanese ships or planes they encounter en route. It's a dangerous mission. With the enemy in full attack mode, there's no guarantee that Henderson Field will be in U.S. hands when the planes arrive. A little after 11 a.m., Enterprise's torpedo planes strike pay dirt. They are led by a lieutenant with the suitably grim name Al Coffin. The Avengers are en route for Guadalcanal's airstrip. Suddenly, Japanese battleship Hiei comes into view. Despite being mauled by destroyer Laffey the night before, she's headed right for Henderson Field with her 14-inch guns. Hiei is a Congo-class battleship and displaces more than 36,000 tons with a crew of 1,300 men. In addition to her main battery of 8 14-inch guns, she's armed with 16 6-inch flak guns, 8 5-inch rifles, and as many as 118 machine guns. Hiei is a menacing sight on any battlefield. Coffin's torpedo planes immediately climb 4,500 feet higher, into the clouds and out of sight. Their objective, split into 2 groups and maneuver into striking position to bury the Imperial battle wagon. Both groups will meet the warship head-on, one from the port bow, the other from starboard. Hiei will have nowhere to go. Any way she turns, she'll get a salvo of Enterprise's torpedoes. The crew of the Japanese battleship has no idea they're in the sights of Coffin's torpedoes. 2 miles ahead, Coffin's Avengers burst out of the clouds in 2 groups, headed right for the bow of the massive vessel. At long range, Hiei unleashes flak guns, but her fire is divided between the 2 groups of American planes. Half a mile away, the Big E's flyers are only 150 feet off the water when they release their warheads. Coffin is in the lead of the 4 planes attacking the port bow, just as Hiei cuts loose with an angry broadside from her 14-inch rifles. The Avengers pull up and run like hell for Henderson Field. Seconds later, Hiei is nailed by 3 torpedoes. She slows to a crawl and turns hard to starboard. Her rudder destroyed. She's helpless.